Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto Was the Hollow God, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
It's been a while, hasn't it, Granny Chio? Sasori said to his grandmother after Serafal run after Deidara, and left the others behind. I heard you retired. I've suddenly got the desire to see my grandson's face again, Chio said. Sasori glared at Chio and the others, making Sakura gulp a little, and gained some sweat on her face. Let's just finish this guy off, Sasuke said, not bothered by the look on Sasori's face. Leave him to me, for now, Chio said as she stepped forward, drawing the looks of the others at her. He is my adorable grandson, and as such, it is my job to give him the spanking he deserves for what he has done. And why should I listen to you? Sasuke scowled at Chio. I'm an elite, and I don't follow orders from old women who are one leg in the graves. Chio looked at Sasuke with a look of loathing on her face. She knew that Leaf has fallen a lot in the recent decades, especially since the death of the fourth Hokage, but to fall so much as to let a brat like Sasuke do what he wants and on top of that, kill their own faithful shinobi, well, they are the lowest of the low right now. In my eyes, you are nothing but an empty-headed pest, Uchiha. Chio insulted Sasuke like almost no one before, causing him to get angry at her and almost go to attack her right then and there. Serafal was right when she said that you do not deserve any respect, and that you are not an elite. And still, you keep calling yourself that, even after the ass-whooping delivered to you by the fake Itachi and Kisame, who weren't even close to the level of the real ones. Chio kept insulting Sasuke with a look of hatred on her face, which was mirrored by Sasuke's face. Chio then looked back at Sasori, and decided to start the battle, while choosing to ignore Sasuke for now. Of course, she will make sure to have eyes on her back. She would be really surprised if Sasuke doesn't end up stabbing her in the back while she was in the middle of the battle. Chio pushed her hands inside of her sleeves, before she pulled them back up, but now, she was manipulating several kunai with the chakra threads. She then threw all the kunai at Sasori, who deflected them with his tail. Unfortunately for him, Chio was prepared for that, and she used her strings to manipulate the kunai while in midair, and sent him again at Sasori, this time, ripping his Akatsuki robe into shreds, revealing his body to everyone there. If you insist on defying me and standing in my way, you leave me no choice, Sasori said. How would you and those brats like to be a part of my collection, Granny Chio? Sasori was now standing on all four, and there was some kind of a face on his back, from which mouth, a tail was coming out, and dangling above him. What is that thing? Sakura asked with a gulp, while looking at Sasori's bizarre body. That over there, is not Sasori's real body, Chio said, making Sasuke scowl. If you didn't tell us, we wouldn't have known, Sasuke irritably threw back with a scowl on her face. We can see that ourselves, woman. The question is, what is it if it's not his real body? This time, Chio didn't even bother to scowl or get angry at Sasuke. This time, she only found him an annoying ant, and is not worthy of making her angry. That's merely a puppet, she said. So if that's a puppet, that means that the real Sasori is most likely inside, as he would have to control it from somewhere. Kakashi guessed. He was correct. Yes, Chio confirmed. Puppet masters aren't so good at close combat. Manipulating their puppets during battle leaves them wide open to attack. Sasori created this puppet to overcome that weakness. It is his armor and weapon at the same time. Its name is Hiriko and is Sasori's specialty. You seem to know a lot about it, Lady Chio. Sakura asked politely. Yes, Chio said. I know everything about that puppet. But do you know how I prepare specimen for my collection? Sasori asked, drawing all eyes on himself. First, I drain all the blood. Then I remove all the organs, before I wash it inside and out. After I preserve the body from decay, the final step is to fill it with hidden weapon. As the hag said, this puppet is called Hiriko. It's just one of the specimen in my collection. Once I've added the 5 of you, I will be having 303 puppets. This is my art. XXX. Naruto, Sako, Fu and Juvia were watching from the distance, the battle between Serafal and Deidara. Actually, it would be better said, that Deidara is dragging away the battle, while on top of that clay bird of his, while Seraphal was chasing after him, and evading the bombs which Deidara was raining down at her. Unlike the battle between those two, Naruto and the others can't watch the battle between Sasori and the Leaf Ninja along with Chio, as they were inside of the cavern and thus, away from the sight. Juvia, Naruto looked at the water release user and told her once he had her attention. I want you to go and observe the battle in the cavern. Pay attention on everything and listen to everything, as we might get some use of whatever they say and do. Of course, my darling Naruto, Juvia said with a wide smile on her face. Juvia will do her best to please you. I'm sure you will, Juvia. Naruto's smile as he said this, made Juvia flush in the face, before she ran off to do her job. Why are you giving her compliments but never to the rest of us? Sako suddenly asked, making Naruto look away from the battle, and at her. He raised his eyebrows at her in confusion. I never have her compliments, as I don't think there is a need to give compliments to any of you, that includes Juvia. His response confused Sako and Fu. What do you mean? Fu asked. Naruto smiled. All of you are insanely beautiful and hot girls. Fu and Sako flushed at this, though Fu's flush was not seen as his face is covered by her hollow mask. As such, I don't see the reason to compliment you, and tell you that you are beautiful or anything of a sort. It's obvious. Sako and Fu were pleased by the answer. But what about Juvia? But you see, she is so easily flustered and wants to please me much more than the rest of you, Naruto said. I just can't help myself, and every time I get a chance, I praise her or simply smile at her, as I know she will flush and get embarrassed, and that amuses me to no end. Sako and Fu nodded, and then went back to watching the battle, which by then, has gotten more serious, as Seraphal was able to bring Deidara down from the sky, by causing a massive blizzard. That girl is truly skilled and powerful, Naruto said as he watched Seraphal form ice spears out of the blizzard, and then send them after Deidara, who countered the spears with his clay bombs, which exploded on the contact with Seraphal attacks. I wonder if I can make her join me and my cause. I don't know, Sako said. I guess that would depend on her current employee, and how well Seraphal respects her. Kiyuki is really nice person, Naruto said, knowing that Seraphal works for Kiyuki Kazuhana. As such, I seriously doubt that there is any problem between the two, and Seraphal is probably pleased to work for her. Oh well, you don't have to have every beautiful girl in the N at your side, Sako said with a sigh. Naruto looked at her with a smirk on his face. Are you jealous? He asked Sako, making her flush like never before, but also made Naruto's smirk widen. Recently, Naruto has really started to enjoy messing with and teasing the girls around him. That is something that until a little while ago, was something that he would never do, and didn't have interest in it, but in the recent months, he caught himself several times doing that. Not only that, but he has caught himself looking at the girls around him more than he used to before. As he was a hollow for so long, Naruto had no interest in women or anything of a sort. Even after he was revived, and when he knew that he will eventually need to revive his clan with a woman or two, he still thought of that as a job and not something to bring him pleasure. But after 3 years as an adult human, he started getting feeling he never had before, and sometimes wished to just send it all to hell and get 1 or 2 girls, take them to his room, bend them over the desk and have his way with them until he can't move any longer, which will be a while. He decided then and there, that he will do something about these new feelings of his as soon as possible, as he is not sure how they will affect him in the long run. What? Sako almost shrieked. Oh, of course I'm not jealous. Naruto smirked even more. Are you sure about that? He asked. Because it looks to me that you are jealous, and not just because of Juvia, but apparently of Seraphal as well, even though there is no need, as I have never even met Seraphal in person. I don't know what you are talking about, Sako said, while looking away. She refused to look Naruto in the eyes, because she was lying through her teeth, and if she looked at him, she wouldn't have been able to lie. Of course, it didn't matter that she wasn't looking at him, because Naruto knew that she was lying to him. He did decide to let it go, for now anyway. Naruto decided to pay more attention on the battle between Seraphal and Deidara. After a while, he had to admit to himself that, for irregular humans, who were 19 or 20 years old, Seraphal and Deidara were really good in battling using the unique battle styles and bloodlines. In Naruto's eyes, Seraphal proved to be destructive with her bloodline, but also has finesse, which many shinobi with powerful bloodlines lack. Deidara on the other hand, is even more destructive, but he has no finesse. He is sneaky, though, and has many ways of using his clay bombs, even attack from 2 different directions. From above with guided missile attack, and from below, by placing landmines underground. The battle between the two has caused a lot of damage on the surrounding land, mostly because of Deidara's bombs, but a lot of the land has been frozen solid few feet deep, by Seraphal, so that she can counter Deidara's landmines, while the blizzard is causing him trouble in flying on his clay creation. Deidara's jutsu went really weird when he ate and spit out a large amount of detonating clay, which took a form of a giant Deidara. This jutsu is called C4, and according to Deidara's blabbing, is one of his more powerful jutsu. It truly did prove to be powerful when the giant Deidara inflated and then exploded, but unlike the normal explosions, there was no destruction at all. What C4 does, is that upon the explosion, it releases a cloud of microscopic bombs that enter the bloodstream of anyone who inhales them, in this case, Seraphal. On Deidara's command, the microbombs detonate and cause the victims' bodies to disintegrate at the cellular level, literally turning them into dust, which is what happened to Seraphal right in front of the eyes of Naruto, Sako and Fu. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the sight. Damn it, Fu swore. He got her. XXX. Chio spent a while, trying to get close enough to Sasori so that she can try and do some damage, but she was unsuccessful. Fortunately for her, she was good at her feet and has speed, so she was able to avoid all the attacks sent at her by Sasori. While in the middle of the battle, Sakura noticed that Chio, as much as she would want to, would be unable to defeat Sasori by herself, so she decided to do something about it. Sakura patiently watched the battle between Chio and her grandson, until she saw an opportunity to attack. And attack she did. Sakura ran at Sasori, and when she was close enough, she infused her right fist with chakra, and struck at the surprised Sasori from behind, right on the shell on his back, destroying it, and the entire puppet in the process. Now, while Sakura doesn't have the same monstrous strength Tsunade did, as she was never really trained by her, she did learn the theory behind it from Shizune, and was able to learn it by herself by trial and error. It took her a while and she isn't at the level where she would be if Tsunade trained her, both in combat and medical jutsu and knowledge, but her power was just enough to destroy Hiroko puppet, and cause the real Sasori to come out from inside of it. What are you doing, Sakura? Kakashi asked once he saw what Sakura did. He was not really happy with her right now, because not only she saved Kankuro back in the sand, but now she decided to save Chio as well. While Sasori is the common enemy of both sand and leaf, ever since Chio decided to fight Sasori by herself, he decided to let her, thinking she will die in the process, but will be able to fight Sasori long enough for him to reveal all of his fighting secrets, and after, Kakashi and the others will be able to take him out easily, and take the corpse back to the leaf, so that they can discover its secrets, as well as the secrets behind puppetry. Then, Sakura interfered in the battle, and most likely saved Chio from being killed. Kakashi knows that Chio is at this point in time, retired, but she is old, and has knowledge, skill and experience, which the sand can learn from. If she was to die, all of her skills and experience will go with her, and that would severely weaken the sand village. Sakura is in a lot of trouble when they get back to the leaf. I had to do something, sensei, Sakura said, without looking at Kakashi, instead, keeping an eye on the Sasori, who was still standing far from them all, covered in a black coat, completely shielding him from sight. Lady Chio can't do this alone, and since Sasori is our enemy as well, we should help her out. Kakashi didn't like Sakura's response, but now that she went and said it, he will have to fight as well, because in the event that Chio survives, she will say something unnecessary to her villagers, and that might make them hate the leaf even more. That is something that Leaf doesn't need at this point, especially since Gaara is dead, which means that failed their mission, but it also means that since he is dead, a new Kazekage will be elected, and the new Kazekage might be willing to sign a new alliance with Leaf, provided of course, that the new Kazekage is not Kankuro or Temari, as that would leave the things as they are right now. By helping Chio and maybe keeping her alive, Kakashi realized that she might in the end put some good word to Suna Council, and that can work in Leaf's favor. Realizing this, Kakashi decided to help Chio and Sakura, but he also decided to keep an eye on Sasuke, because he knew the boy very well, and as such, knew that he was not happy with Chio and her insults from earlier. Kakashi knows that Sasuke is most likely to kill Chio from behind at the first chance he gets, and unfortunately, at this point he can't let that happen. He will have to give Sasuke something else though, as he will be impossible if he doesn't get his way. Kakashi watched as Chio taunted Sasori to take of the robe, and show her his face, which she wishes to see after all these years. Come, my dear grandchild, Chio spoke. I've come all this way to see you, so the least you can do is show me your face. A full minute of silence later, and Sasori finally spoke, his voice much softer than the gruff voice he had while under the Hiriko. Even though you've gotten old, you can still move, I'll give you that, Granny Chio, Sasori said while still covered by the black cloak. But even so, you still couldn't do anything against me. If that girl didn't interfere, you would have died by now. Tell me, how does it feel to be saved by someone from another village? The same village you hate for housing a shinobi who killed my parents. The same village who sent a son of that shinobi to take me down. Sasori turned his head, and while still under the robe, looked toward Kakashi. Kakashi noticed a brown set of eyes looking at him with hate, and suddenly got a bad feeling. No one called them to assist, Sasori, Chio said. They came because you and the rest of the Akatsuki are a threat to them, just as much as to our village. I cannot stop them from wanting to take you and your partner out. As for me hating the leaf, you are right, I hate them. But again, it is not up to me to decide what they do and don't do. Do you understand that, Sasori? I guess you are right, Granny Chio, Sasori said. Okay then. Since you are incapable of doing anything to revenge my parents' deaths, I will. Sasori then removed the cloak, and revealed him face, while the rest of his body was covered in the Akatsuki cloak from the neck down, only revealing his face, hands and lower legs and feet. Everyone was shocked the moment they saw Sasori's face, but none as much as Chio, who couldn't believe that this is her grandson. Wait a minute, Sasuke suddenly said. You said that this guy left the Sand Village 20 years ago. So how can he look like he's the same age as I am? Chio tried to say something, but couldn't as she was shell-shocked by Sasori's appearance. What's the matter, Granny Chio? Sasori asked with a smile on his face. Are you so filled with emotion that you can't speak? I can't say I'm surprised though. It has been 20 years since we've seen each other. Sasori, what have you done? Chio wondered in disbelief. Let me show you something, Granny, Sasori said as he pulled out a scroll, and unrolled it, showing number 3 on it. It was particularly difficult to acquire it, but that's why I'm so fond of him. Sasori then released the seal on the scroll, and in a puff of smoke, a puppet came out. Once Chio saw who it was, she was in disbelief and started sweating. No, that can't be, impossible. Chio said, drawing the attention of the others, who looked at her face, and were immediately worried. Well, Kakashi was already worried from before, since he, just like Chio, recognized the puppet. What is? Sakura asked. What's impossible? This can't be possible, Chio said. It's him. It's the third Kazekage. Everyone now looked at the puppet in disbelief, as none of them could believe that Sasori has turned a cage into a puppet. Kakashi almost fell on his ass, as he realized that Sasori is much stronger than he originally though, and the fact that he has third Kazekage as a puppet, makes the situation much worse than it already was. Lady Chio, what does this mean? Sakura asked. So this is what happened to him, Chio said. It has been over 10 years since the third Kazekage disappeared from the village. We have searched everywhere for him but we never found him. He was the strongest Kazekage ever and he simply vanished one day. Sasori, it was you who did this to him. What if it was me? Sasori asked, losing the smile on his face. What can you do about it? You are a retired old woman with one foot in her grave. You can't even touch me, and yet you have come here to search for revenge against me, while never bothered to have revenge for the death of my parents, for your own son and daughter-in-law. Pathetic. I may be old and with one foot in the grave, as you say, but I had to come here and face you, otherwise, I would have died with far too many regrets, Chio said. And I did want to kill the White Fang for killing my son and daughter-in-law. Unfortunately, he died before that could happen. His son is still alive. Sasori said back. That may be, but as much as I would want to, I cannot blame children for what their parents did. Chio said. Even if I killed Kakashi, it wouldn't have brought your parents back, nor would it have quelled my hatred for the White Fang. Is that so? Sasori frowned. Well then, if you are not capable of exacting revenge, I am. And I don't have problem to kill Kakashi for the deeds done by his father. Sasori looked at Kakashi, and said. Well then, shall we? Answer. The battle started to get really intense and even more destructive. While the Leaf Ninja were ready to help take out Sasori, not only so that they can get in good gracious with the sand, but also because he is with their enemy, Chio decided to take on Sasori by herself. He is her grandson, and she feels responsible for everything he has done. As such, she wants to take him out. Another reason she wanted to take on Sasori alone, is because she hopes to only defeat him and take him to the village as a prisoner. She is afraid that if all of the Leaf Ninja take on him alone, they will eventually overpower him and kill him, and Chio doesn't want Sasori dead, even after everything he has done. He is her grandson and as such, her family. Her only family left, not counting her brother. The two puppet masters went at it for a while, with Sasori having an advantage most of the time, but with Chio keeping up thanks to her greater experience. Sasori didn't get any big advantage during the fight, until he decided to pull out some bug guns, so to say, and revealed that his third Kazekage puppet can use the Iron Sand bloodline that the third had during his lifetime. This is bad, Chio said, drawing the attention at her. Why? Sakura asked. What is that jutsu? That is the most powerful jutsu in the history of the Sand Village, Chio said. The third Kazekage's Iron Sand. It's because of that he was considered to be the strongest Kazekage to date. While Kakashi knew about this, as he is old enough and knows about the legends and powers of the previous Kage from all the village, Sakura and Sasuke didn't know anything about the third Kazekage and his powers, so they didn't know what to expect. Sai learned during his training about the different powers from all over the EN, but even he didn't know everything about the third Kazekage and how his Iron Sand can be used. His training under Danzo didn't cover that much. Now that Sasori has pulled out the Iron Sand, the battle went through the roof, so to say, as the roof and the outside walls of the cavern were literally crumbling under the power of the Iron Sand, along with whatever jutsu the Leaf Ninja and Chio used to fight back. With Sakura's physical powers, Kakashi's and Sasuke's elemental ninjutsu as well as their Sharingan, and Sai's drawing type ninjutsu, combined with Chio using two of her puppets, they were all barely able to hold back Sasori and his third Kazekage puppet, and barely keep themselves alive. The four-leaf ninja and one sand elder stood at one side of the cavern, panting from exertion, while on the other side, Sasori was standing completely calm and with a smirk on his face. This is going to be a long battle, was the thought passing through the minds of four-leaf and one sand shinobi. XXX. No, Naruto suddenly said. He didn't kill her. Sako and Fu looked at Naruto as if he was insane. What do you mean? You saw Seraphal disintegrate right there. Just watch, Naruto said with a smirk. Sako and Fu looked at each other, and then back at Deidara, who was, once again, back in the air flying on his C2 dragon. He was looking down where Seraphal used to be, with a grin on his face, thinking that his attack has worked and that he had won. When the blizzard stopped, he was completely sure that it worked, but then. Celsius cross trigger. Deidara recognized Seraphal's voice and looked toward the ground, behind him. He was about to shout and ask how she escaped, but then the temperature in the entire area dropped phenomenally, to the point that Deidara's C2 dragon was turned into an ice sculpture, and Deidara was starting to be covered in ice as well. In fact, Seraphal's technique is covering everything in a 10-kilometer radius into ice. The ground, the trees, that animals, there isn't a single thing left which wasn't covered in ice, mere 10 seconds after Seraphal used her jutsu. Well, that's a lie. Naruto's wasn't affected, and he was able to save Sako and Fu from being permanently turned into ice sculptures. But yes, not counting those three, everything was covered in ice, and the temperature on the surface of that land must be 50 degrees below zero at that point. Well, I'll be damned, Naruto said with a wide smile on his face. I thought that she was powerful, but that jutsu was insane. If I wasn't here, you two would have been at least encased in ice, if not frozen to the bone. I have never seen something like that, Fu said while looking around with wide eyes. I have seen and heard of a powerful jutsu, but that one is just too OP. I wonder if anyone but you would be unaffected, or at least escape from that jutsu. Naruto shrugged. There are people around who would be able to survive, he said while watching Deidara and his C2 dragon falling on the ice-covered ground, where the dragon broke into ice particles, while Deidara was still alive, as he was only encased in ice, and wasn't completely frozen. Once he fell, the ice around him broke and released him, but he was shivering in cold right now. Of course, they would have been encased in ice, but not completely frozen. Like the bomb man, over there. Sako and Fu watched, as Deidara managed to stand up, while still shivering, as he was that cold after being almost killed by Seraphal's jutsu. The D-Devil was that, Deidara stuttered. How did you do that? And how did you escape my jutsu? I saw you being disintegrated. That was Ice Clone you saw being disintegrated, Seraphal said. And the jutsu I use is called Celsius Cross Trigger, and is the most powerful jutsu I know. It is my signature technique, which converts the land itself into a frozen wonderland. I created it myself after a lot of training and years of trial and error. There is no escaping the jutsu. If you are caught in it, you are frozen. The only difference is that those powerful enough would not be frozen to the bone and destroyed, but will only be covered in ice. You were lucky to be powerful and that you were in the air. If you were frozen while standing on the ground, you would have most likely survived, but you wouldn't have been able to release yourself on your own. Deidara got angry at being screwed over by a clone and then almost killed like it was nothing. He hated when he was underestimated, and hates even more when he was so cleanly defeated, that he didn't even come close to winning. It reminded him too much of the first time he met Itachi Uchiha and how he was cleanly defeated by one simple genjutsu. On top of that, while he has survived that thrice-damned jutsu, he was barely able to stand from the sheer cold he was feeling after being completely frozen. Even worse, almost all of the clay he had was frozen as well, and it's a miracle that a small part of it wasn't. Then and there, Deidara has decided on what to do with that miracle. He will use his ultimate jutsu, and detonate himself. By doing that, he will make sure to destroy Seraphal and make sure that she no longer poses a threat to the Akatsuki. XXX. In the world of shinobi, some people believe that in order for one to wake up alive in the morning, you need quite a bit of luck. They believe in this because people tend to die a lot when they are sleeping, especially if they are shinobi. Now, while most shinobi believe in luck, there are some, like Sai, for example, who are completely emotionless, and don't believe in anything except the devotion to Danzo. Other people, like Sasuke, only believe in power and they think that luck has no saying in anything when it involves powerful people. To him, powerful people don't need luck, they survive because they are strong, and that's that. Kakashi actually does believe in luck. He knows that he was lucky that day during the Third Great Ninja War, where he only lost his eye, and not his entire head, or, where his teammate jumped and pushed him away from danger, sacrificing his own life to save Kakashi. To him, that was luck. On the other hand, Kakashi also believes that only strong people have luck, and only strong people are favored by luck, while the weak die because they were both weak, and unlucky. Sakura, just like Kakashi, believes in luck, and unlike him, she doesn't believe that only strong people are lucky, while the weak are unlucky. She believes this because she was always weak, and somehow, she was able to live as long as she did, and achieve some level of power, where she doesn't have to rely on luck to survive. She knows that when she was younger, and a part of a team with Sasuke and Naruto, she was so weak, that it was a miracle that she never died. Most of the time, she was saved by Naruto, and thought she will not say it out loud, she will admit it to herself. Sometimes, when even Naruto wasn't there to save her, she still survived, but in those cases, she knew it was pure luck, and nothing more. Because of those situations, she believed that everyone has some degree of luck, even weak people. The one who believes the most in luck is Chio. That probably has something to do with the fact that she was so old that every breath can be her last, and every morning she wakes up still alive. She believes that she was just lucky to still be alive, and doesn't believe that it was simply not her time to die. Why is all this important? Well, up until a minute ago, Chio along with Team 7 were pretty much defeated by Sasori. They did some damage here and there to his third Kazekage puppet, but were not able to do anything to his real body, nor were they able to completely take out the third Kazekage. For every single nick they would deal to the puppet, they would all be cut up, badly. As such, they were all but done for, all 5 of them. And then, a miracle happened. Though they won't call it miracle. They will call it luck, and 4 out of 5 of them will consider themselves the luckiest people alive. They were down, bleeding, defeated, and unable to do anything against Sasori, when all of the sudden, the entire cavern, along with all of them inside, ended up frozen solid. It came out of nowhere. There was no warning, no indications that something like that is coming. It just happened. One moment they were all defeated, and just waiting to die, the next moment, all of them, plus Sasori and his third Kazekage puppet, were frozen. Of them all, 5 humans were simply encased in ice, while 1 human was dead and 1 puppet was destroyed. There are several reasons why the ones who are still alive are alive and not dead. The reason Kakashi was alive is because he was strong enough to be only encased in ice, and not turned into a popsicle down to the bone. Sasuke was simply lucky to be alive, as he was most definitely not strong enough to survive the full force of Seraphal Jutsu. Even Kakashi, who is quite a bit stronger than Sasuke, was barely strong enough to survive. The reason Sakura and Chio are alive is not because they were lucky or powerful enough. It was because Seraphal has such control of her powers that she willingly spared those two. Of course, the two of them don't know that, and until the end of their lives, they will think that they survived because they were simply lucky. Sasori was simply powerful enough to survive Seraphal's jutsu, just like Deidara. Unlike Deidara, Sasori was standing on the ground when he was encased in ice, which means that, while he is strong enough to survive, he is not strong enough to break himself out. The puppet of the third Kazekage was, unfortunately for Sasori, completely destroyed. Sai was the unlucky one, and the weak one. He didn't have the power necessary to survive. He didn't have the luck to survive, and most of all, Seraphal didn't want him to survive, and so he didn't survive, and have died on the spot. Frozen down to the bone and every cell in his body. Now, while the 5 people were lucky to survive Seraphal's jutsu, they weren't strong enough to break themselves out, which means that right now, there are 5 human turned into ice statues, standing in the middle of the frozen cavern, just waiting for someone to rescue them. Unbeknownst to them, there was another person there in the cavern, though she was not seen by them, as she was watching the battle from the corner of the cavern, while in her liquid form. That person was Juvia, who was watching the battle on Naruto's orders. She was also caught in Seraphal's jutsu, but she was still alive, though also encased in ice just like the others. She survived because she was strong enough, and probably had some luck as well. Answer: the 6 people were waiting for someone to save them. Who that will be decided in the battle between Seraphal and Deidara. XXX. Right in front of Seraphal's eyes, Deidara ripped of his shirt, revealing a seal on his chest where heart is. The seal is surrounding a line with stitches indicating that it might be some sort of a scar, but it could also be anything. In this case, it was anything but a scar. Deidara then used the mouth on his left hand and the mouth bit of the stitches on one side, before Deidara pulled the stitches, opening another set of mouth on his chest. He then took from his pooch what little detonating clay he had left unfrozen, and fed it to the mouth on his chest, all the while, laughing at the shocked and confused look on Seraphal's face. Something like veins, or they might simply be cracks, appeared all over Deidara's body, while his skin tone darkened slightly. "This is my ultimate art," Deidara said with an insane smile on his face. "I'm going to detonate myself." Seraphal stepped back a little bit in shock at what she has just heard. She thought that Deidara is insane, which she is right to a point. "In death I shall become art itself," Deidara kept talking. "No one has ever seen an explosion like this. One that will leave behind the scar on the earth. Then, I will receive more admiration for my art than anyone has ever seen before." Deidara then remembered about Sasori. Sasori, as he knew that Sasori and the Akatsuki cavern were just in the blast radius, and that Sasori will die as well, along with everyone else. By then, Deidara's body was becoming more and more transparent, and was shoving a black mass on his chest with a face on it. "Nothing will save you from this explosion, as it will cover 10 km, Deidara shouted in insanity. "You can't escape from this, and you will not be able to stop the explosion by freezing me. This is the end of the line for you, Seraphal Leviathan." All that was left of Deidara at that moment was the outline of his body along with his hair intact, while veins inside of his body were all retracting inside of the mass on his chest. "Tremble, be afraid, recoil in despair, cower in awe, and cry your heart out," Deidara shouted. "Because my art," Deidara has completely vanished from sight, only leaving behind a black ball with a face which started to crack and the light started to burst out. A second later, the ball burst in a beam of light which went toward the sky. Then there was a shockwave from the explosion, followed by the beam spreading around, destroying everything in its path. Seraphal was soon covered in light while watching with wide eyes at the destruction coming toward her. She heard Deidara's voice shouting, "Is an explosion," thus, finishing the sentence he started just before the explosion. With her last thoughts being about her sister and Kyuki, and how sorry she is that she will not be there for them any longer, Seraphal saw a bluish light for a moment, before she was surrounded by darkness. Seraphal heard voices. She didn't know who they belonged to, where they are coming from, nor what they are talking about. But she did hear them. She was able to recognize 3 different tones of voices, 2 female and 1 male. They were talking about something, and as the seconds were passing, she could slowly start to understand them. The last thing Seraphal remembers before that moment is Deidara detonating himself. Then there was a dome of destructive chakra coming toward her to send her into oblivion, and finally, before the darkness consumed her, she saw a bluish light. She didn't know what that light was, nor where it came from. She also didn't know where she is at the moment, nor did she know if she was alive or dead. If she was to try and guess, then she would say that she is dead. Why? Because she didn't feel anything. Not even a little bit of pain. She would guess that, if she was caught in that explosion, and by some miracle she survived, she would have felt a lot of pain. Instead, there is nothing. Not even a pain from a simple scratch. That is a pretty good reason to say that, she is in fact, dead. But then, there are the voices. If she can hear them, could that mean that she is alive, or, does that mean that she is dead, and that she is in a presence of some higher level being? Seraphal was never a big believer in higher powers. She was always the kind of person who believed in what she can see, feel and touch, and believing in God or some other higher being, is impossible, since you can neither see it, feel it, nor touch it for that matter. At that point in time, Seraphal felt that she can open her eyes, and look around herself, but she decided to stay still, lying on what felt like grass, and keep her eyes closed. She decided to listen to what the voices around her are talking about. That will allow her to guess where she was, and what to do in case she is still alive, and what she can do, in case she is dead. How is Juvia? Seraphal heard a female voice she didn't know, ask about someone else, who she also didn't know. Naruto looked towards Sako and said, "She will be fine. I will guess that she will need a few days to completely recover from being frozen while in her liquid form." Seraphal heard a male voice, and once she heard him, she wondered who this Juvia is, and how can she have a liquid form? Then, she remembered about the Hozuki clan and their ability to liquefy their body, and guessed that Juvia must be one of them. This brought the questions of, where she is, who these people are, why is she with them, and most importantly, what the hell happened? What about the others? Fu asked, while Seraphal continued to listen. She wondered, who the others are. Well, that one guy from Team 7 is dead, Naruto said. I assume he didn't survive being frozen by Seraphal's jutsu. As for the others, somehow they all survived, and they will be fine. I will say though, they were extremely lucky. Yeah, Sako agreed. Not only did they survive being frozen, but the shockwave from Deidara's detonation broke them out from the ice trap, and allowed them to run away just outside of the blast radius. If that's not luck, then I don't know what is. That other guy though, we can assume Seraphal's jutsu killed him, as he would have run away with the others if he survived that. I agree, Naruto said, before he looked at Seraphal. You can open your eyes now, he said to Seraphal. I know that you are awake. Seraphal stayed silent and unmoving for a few moments, before she decided to just get up, as there was no reason to pretend anymore. She will not find anything this way since they already know that she is awake. She opened her eyes, and saw 3 pair of eyes looking at her. One belonged to a very beautiful girl with long hair and wearing very little clothing, especially on her upper body. The other person looking at her is the blonde man, and Seraphal caught herself blushing the moment her eyes landed on Naruto. She will only admit in her head that he is the most handsome and good-looking man she has ever seen. The third person surprised Seraphal. It was obviously a girl, based on the clothing and the body, but her face can't be seen because of the weird mask she was wearing. Seraphal has never seen a mask like that, and it made her wonder. Seraphal got up from her lying position, and sat on her ass. Normally, she would have tried to stand up completely, but she felt weak for some reason. She assumed that her battle against Deidara took more out of her than she thought. She looked around, and saw Chio, Kakashi, Sasuke and Sakura lying on the ground next to each other, while Sasori was away from them, with a seal attached to his forehead. He was unmoving, but because of the seal, and from what she heard earlier, Seraphal knew that he was still alive. Seeing that Sai is not there, she now knew who it was, that died from her jutsu. Seraphal thought about Sai's death, and after a minute, realized that she didn't care that he has died. She didn't know him, and had nothing personally against him, but as he is a leaf ninja, she didn't care that he has died. She also wouldn't have cared if Kakashi and Sasuke died as well. She would have preferred it if they did. As for Sakura and Chio, well, Chio is a Sand Elder, and she is glad that she is alive. Sakura, she didn't know the girl that well, and since she was a leaf Kunoichi, she normally wouldn't have cared if she died as well. But, Sakura did save Kankuro, who is Gaara's brother. She also appeared to be a nice girl. Much better person than Kakashi, Sasuke and Saiwa, and as such, she was okay that Sakura is still alive. Seraphal looked back at Naruto and fought off a blush, before she asked. Who are you three? And what happened? Well, my name is Alessandro, Naruto said his fake name. These two are Sako and Fu, Naruto pointed at each girl as he said the names. We are bounty hunters, Naruto lied. Seraphal rose her eyebrows in surprise. Before she could ask again, what happened, Naruto spoke again. We have been following you and the others ever since you left the Sand Village. Naruto's words made Seraphal go wide-eyed in disbelief, as she couldn't believe that none in the group she was with noticed that they are being followed. She could blame herself as well, but she had no skill in sensing, so she couldn't have noticed them, but that none of the others noticed them as well, that is troublesome. We came to the sand after we heard what happened, in order to find out where Sasori and Deidara went to after they grabbed the Kazekage, Naruto said. We planned to get the information and then go after them for their bounties. But when we got there, and found out that there is a team from the Leaf already there, and then you as well, we decided to just follow you all and see what happens. Seraphal thought about what she heard, and after a minute, she asked. Was it you who took out that fake Itachi? Naruto nodded. It was me, Naruto said. It wasn't very hard. It was over in a flesh. Seraphal rose her eyebrows at this, and wondered how powerful those three are. She did know that they must be very powerful if they are going after the S-rank ninja like Sasori and Deidara. What about that attack, which destroyed the boulder at the entrance to the cavern and broke the seal? Seraphal asked again. That one was also me, Naruto said with a smile. But don't ask how I did it. It's a secret. Seraphal decided not to press, so she just nodded, and then looked at the group of unconscious ninja. What happened to them, and what happened to me? How did I survive that explosion? Your jutsu was so widespread that it froze all those fighting in the cavern, Naruto said. When Deidara detonated himself, the shockwave was the first which got to them, and broke them out of the ice, and gave them enough time to run away from the blast. They were lucky that the blast radius was 10 kilometers and the cave was about 9 kilometers from you, so they had barely enough time to escape to safety. But even then, they were damaged greatly from the battle against Sasori, and the run didn't help them in getting better. It would seem that all of them except that Sai fellow were strong enough to survive your jutsu, and were only encased in ice and not frozen to the bone. Sai though, wasn't. He didn't escape from that cave, and there is probably nothing left of him after the shockwave most likely completely destroyed him. They were all brought here by Fu, after I sensed where they run off to. She found them unconscious, and brought them here. Seraphal nodded, satisfied with the explanation. What about that other girl? Seraphal pointed at Juvia, who was lying on the ground, passed out just like the others. Naruto sighed. She's with us. I sent her to watch that battle in the cave, and then tell me what happened. Juvia is from the Hozuki clan, so she has the ability to turn into water and blend it. She did that and observed the battle, but was unfortunately frozen by your jutsu. As she has water body, she is particularly weak against lightning attacks and ice attacks, and while she was strong enough to survive being frozen, it did damage her a lot being frozen like that. Seraphal lowered her head, and apologized under her chin, while blushing in embarrassment. She was also unfrozen by the shockwave, but she wasn't able to run away from the blast. Luckily for her, she was able to use what remaining strength she had left, to liquefy her body once again, and then escape from the blast, underground. She passed out right after the explosion was over and she came back out. I'm sorry, Seraphal apologized again. I never meant to hurt anyone innocent. It's okay, Naruto said. You were in the middle of the battle, and you didn't know that there was anyone around you. I'm assuming you also didn't think that your jutsu will reach all the way to the cavern, Seraphal nodded. Well then, don't blame yourself. I'm sure Juvia will be fine and she will forget it. Seraphal smiled and thanked Naruto. Oh. And as for why you are alive, Naruto spoke again. That's because I created a barrier in front of you before the explosion got to you. That protected you from Deidara's jutsu. Unfortunately, you passed out. I'm assuming because you were both tired, and because you were scared, which, I will admit, standing in front of an explosion like that, and knowing that you can't escape, is scary as all hell, so don't feel bad about it. Thank you for saving me. Seraphal bowed her head. She was very grateful that she was saved, and that she can go back to her sister and Kayuki. The moment she remembered Kayuki, she remembered why she was there in the first place, and remembered Gaara and the fact that he is dead. It made her sigh. What happened to Gaara? He's behind you, Naruto said, making Seraphal look behind her, and notice Gaara's corpse, lying on the grass. He looked undamaged, but that didn't matter, as he was dead. Damn it, Seraphal swore. I failed my mission. Princess Kayuki sent me to save Gaara, and I failed. Now she is going to be sad that her friend is dead. Naruto, Sako and Fu looked at Seraphal, and felt bad for the girl and for Gaara, especially Fu and Naruto, as they used to be Jinchuriki just like Gaara, and knew how it felt to be hated by everyone. Though, the fact that there was someone who cared about Gaara, made them feel happy for him, but also sad that he is now dead. Unlike with Fu, Gaara's soul has already left this world, so there is nothing Naruto can do to bring him back, and that made him angry, because he saw Gaara as a friend. It's not your fault, Naruto said. The only ones at fault for his death are the Akatsuki, and no one else. Seraphal didn't say anything, and just kept looking at Gaara. After few minutes of silence, she sighed and asked, "How were you able to save me and pull him out of the explosion, at the same time?" Seraphal wanted to know that, as it seemed a bit unbelievable. "Oh, well, Fu grabbed Gaara and along with Sako jumped behind you, while I jumped in front of you all and created a barrier which shielded us all from the explosion," Naruto explained. Seraphal looked at Naruto curiously. That must have been one hell of a barrier. Naruto smirked. It sure was, he said. Unfortunately, it's something only I can do, which means that I can't teach it to anyone. So it's like a bloodline? Seraphal questioned. Naruto thought about it for a moment, and said, "In a way, I guess it can be considered a bloodline. But it's different than normal bloodlines." Seraphal wanted to ask more, but she didn't know the guy, and she doubted he would just tell her even if she asked, so she settled for what she already learned. "What now?" she asked. "Now, you will stay here and wait for the others to wake up," Naruto said. "After that, it's up to you all to decide what to do. As for me and my team, we are leaving immediately. We will be taking Sasori with us, though." "What?" Seraphal yelled. "Why? Why what?" Naruto asked back. "Why are you leaving?" Seraphal asked. "And why are you taking Sasori?" "It was Fu who subdued Sasori," Naruto said. "As such, we have the right to do with him whatever we want. We are leaving because there is nothing left for us to do any longer. Deidara is dead. Sasori is captured, and unfortunately, Gaara is dead. I may be powerful and skilled, but I can't do anything to reverse deaths. As such, it is for the best for us to leave, before the others wake up and start causing trouble. I really don't feel like dealing with those imbeciles." Naruto looked towards Sasuke and Kakashi. Seraphal noticed at whom Naruto was looking at, and had to agree with him that Sasuke and Kakashi truly were imbeciles and hot-headed. They will most definitely try something the moment they hear that it was these group of three that saved them all, and that they are taking Sasori with them since they are the ones who subdued him, and as such, can take him if they want to. Seraphal watched as Naruto picked up Juvia, and gave her piggyback ride, as she was passed out and can't walk. Fu grabbed Sasori, and tossed him over her right shoulder like a sack of potatoes, showing her physical strength. She and Sako then joined Naruto, and they were about to leave, but before they did, Naruto looked at Seraphal once again and said, "If you ever want to fight strong opponents in order to improve your skills, then come visit me in the land of whirlpools." Naruto said, much to Seraphal's shock. But that place has been destroyed decades ago," Seraphal said, as she knew the history of the land of whirlpools and the Uzumaki clan. Naruto nodded. "It was. But after it was destroyed, it was left empty and no one went there anymore, so I decided to build my own country there." Seraphal's jaw dropped on the ground when she heard that Naruto is building a whole country. "It's one of the reasons that we are doing bounty hunting. In order to get money for the construction. You cannot possibly get enough money to build a whole country, just by hunting down missing nin." Seraphal was shocked. "No, Naruto said. But bounty hunting is only one way we are collecting money. There are other things we do as well. But never mind that. As I said, you are free to come anytime you like. In fact, you can even bring Princess Kayuki. We might be able to make some sort of an alliance. Not waiting to hear Seraphal's response, Naruto vanished from sight in an instant, followed by Sako and Fu. Seraphal stayed behind, watching at an empty stop, where less than a second ago, 3 people were standing. The hell was that? Seraphal wondered. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.